moving on. We have our two Carnegie title gurus here today to speak about the Palm app. And so they need to scan this QR code to download the app if they don't have the app, Justin?
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't downloaded the Palm Agent or Carnegie Agent app, you can scan that QR code and download it. It'll just help you. I mean, you don't need it for today's session, but if you want to follow along at home, it is encouraged. It's a very intuitive and user-friendly app, so we encourage you to try to go along with what we're going to be showing you today, which will be a brief overview, and then we're going to hit a couple of key topics that are relevant to today, including the seller concessions that So Beth, I may ask you for some input as we're going along on this as well. So it'll be, it should be a good overview.
All right, sounds good. Should I leave the QR code up for another second for everybody to download it? If once we take this away, is there another place they can go to download it if they join late?
Yeah, so Ryan's going to put, if you go to carnegieagent.com, he's going to put that in the chat. You can simply click that, and that'll take you to the same website. So that's
okay.
So we'll leave that in there for another second, and we'll just kind of give everybody a chance to do it. But if I'm going to share my screen in a second, and we're going to go through some of the basics on the app, and then we'll get right into it.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Yeah, let's go. We can, because it's really easy to get to it from the link as well. So we'll just go from there. So just a couple of housekeeping notes for how we're going to do this today, because we only have a little under an hour. There is so much in this app that we're going to try to go through it pretty quickly. If you have questions, put them in the chat. Ryan's going to be monitoring that, and he's going to be answering the questions in real time, as well as we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So I know if you're getting confused and you don't know how I got to a certain screen, I just ask you to maybe sit tight and kind of just try to follow. I will go as slow as possible to make sure everybody's ready to go. So, okay, so can everybody see my screen with Al in the upper right? Does it look like that?
I see it, yeah. Am I supposed to be there?
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm going to move you off now. So
I like being there, but
yeah. So when you guys open the Palm Agent app, if you look at the bottom of the screen, that's the toolbar that we're going to kind of reference a few times. And it should default you to the buyer tab, which looks like a little house with a dollar symbol in there. So if everybody wants to click on that and start there, that's kind of where we're going to go from. But before we do that, I do want to show you a couple other things that you want to get familiar with being able to navigate in the app. In the upper left, there's 3 dots with 3 lines. This is the section where you would do your profile. So I want everybody to make sure that at some point they go in there, they put their headshot and their logo. Real estate agents, you can actually put your license information in here to keep you compliant with anything that you are sending out. This is also the same place that we go for our saved estimates, and so that's really important. We're gonna navigate back to that a few times. So just wanted to show that. And then the button to the right of that looks like kind of a sideways triangle with a circle around it. That will take you to a link to YouTube on any stage that you're in the app, which will allow you to watch a 1 or 2 minute tutorial if you get confused and you're not really sure what part of the app you're in and how it operates. So that being said, we're going to get started now. And again, if you're not exactly where I am, just try to catch up or just watch the thing through. And then Ryan and I can all set up one-on-ones with you after the session. But really, we want to make sure that we're tackling a couple of different scenarios. So in today's market, you're submitting an offer for a buyer. You have to give them a realistic picture of what that offer is going to look like to them as far as their monthly payment and their bring to close. But also, as real estate agents, you need to understand how you can structure those offers differently to navigate some of the changes. So in the 2 scenarios we're going to do right now, just envision this a world where the house that you're putting an offer in, the listing agent is not offering buyer's agent compensation. Okay. So this is, you can set the app up to do every scenario out there, but just for today's purposes, that's what we're going to do. So If you're on the buyer tab, again, that's the lower left, the house that looks like with a dollar symbol in there. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is in the upper left where it says add address, you're going to click on that. And I'm going to pick 91 Sininger Place in Maywood because we did this as a test run before that. So the numbers all work out for us. But once you click that, you're going to be prompted to a screen, which is a third-party bolt-on app of this called HomeLink, which uses public record to find information about that property. So for example, this one found that the assessed value of 465.1 had taxes of 96.39 back in 2022. So for today's purposes, we're just going to use that and we're going to go from there. So the first offer scenario we're going to build up is we're going to say that the home price is 500,000. We're just going to try to do easy round numbers for everybody and go from there. As you scroll down, you'll see that you can change the loan type, you can change the down payment, you can even change the interest rate. Now, something to just note here is that the interest rate is updated every day in the app, but it's done on a national average, so it may not be totally right for your buyers. So this is where consulting with Beth, just to get a good range and with your pre-approvals, just to see where you would be at would be a good suggestion. So, but for today's purposes, we're just going to leave it at what they default at, a 30-year term. And then here they added a new section now to deal with these NAR changes. So you have a section where it says buyer agent compensation. It defaults to 3%. So for today's scenario, we're just going to change that to 2.5. And over here next to that, you can change that to who it's paid by. So it could be paid by the buyer, the seller, or you could even split it. So this is important so you can run different scenarios based off of what's happening and what offers you're putting in on. For today, we're going to just do that as being paid or by the buyer, and that's going to be part of their cash that they have to bring to close at the table. So,
hey Justin, when you can put split, does it just split it in half, or can you enter whatever, if it's 2% to one and 1% to the other?
It's just I believe it's just going to split it in half, so it'll take that 2.5 and split it in half. But yeah, that one we haven't really messed with much, just because there's other ways to navigate for by the other half. But again, we can certainly talk about that, and you can actually change it if you're not comfortable dealing with a percentage. You can actually change it to like flat fees or whatever. So you can actually put a dollar amount in there if you wanted to. So at the bottom, you're going to see that there's a line that says hazard insurance. That's basically just your homeowner's insurance. And because we're in Bergen County, they've taken the average of what that is. And then that defaults a closing date. So we're just going to leave all that the same for today's purposes and hit compute. So now this just gives you a quick overview of what a buyer's estimate would look like, in this scenario of 500,000 property with the buyer paying the 2.5% commission. So one thing I do want you guys to notice is that if you're doing this at home and you're following along and putting in the same address and the same numbers as me, you may get different results. And the only reason why is I do this so much that sometimes I change settings in there. And I'll show you. If you click on below those two circles, you'll see it says detailed closing costs. This gives you an opportunity to change some things. So for example, your prepaid cost, I believe it defaults you at 14 months of insurance. I changed that to 12 and 3 months of taxes. So there's a couple of things that you could change. Same as if you scroll down to estimated attorney fees. So let's just say, that you're using this app all the time and your attorney charges you on the buy side, charges you $1,800. You could hit edit in the upper right, go to that, and just quickly change that. And now when you hit done, it's going to say, do you want to do it for this estimate only or all future estimates? And you would just say for this estimate only, or if you that's the same, you don't want to have to keep changing that, you would do for all future estimates. So I'm just going to quickly go back because I have the numbers that are lined up this way. So, okay. So again, if you continue to scroll down, this is another area where you'd want to talk with Beth or your lender about your origination fees, appraisals, credit scores, and just to try to zero this in and make it as accurate as possible. So now you're in this scenario, you've got the numbers. This is what you want to share with your client. You have a couple of things that you can do from here. First and foremost, you want to go into the upper right. It's a little box, an arrow going up out of a box. That's going to allow you to send this full report to somebody. And basically what this does is just gives them a breakdown and makes them understand their closing costs. So what's cool about this is that this is one, it's the information is as accurate as you can make it at the beginning stages. Two, you can brand this to yourself. So at the bottom, and it puts my face at the top, but when you do it and you upload your logo and your headshot, this will all be branded to you. So we often talk about in this market how important it is to show your value as a buyer's agent. If you're presenting, home estimates just through a text message or on the back of a cocktail napkin, you're really not showing value. Or if you're just saying, oh, just my lender will take care of that, it kind of takes away from your credibility a little bit about knowing, this way to do it. There's a ton of ways that you can customize this, which is really powerful. So not only if you go on the lower left, you can change the template. You could do just a bare bones basic one, which again, totally up to you. Your client and your buyers, what they're going to receive. And then you can also change little things like the footer at the bottom, just to really make it personal to how you want to do it. The other thing I will note is that you can change the language in here. So for agents that are dealing with buyers who are comfortable in a different language. So we have Spanish, French, German, Chinese, Vietnamese, and it just goes on and on. There's not every language out there, but there's a good amount of them, which is really nice and does provide a personal touch to your buyers in this case. So that being said, again, this just kind of breaks down everything. So this shows the purchase price is $500,000. They're doing $50,000 down. This is their loan amount. All of their prepaid closing costs, lender fees, that sort of thing. This is their monthly payment info. So it just basically shows their principal, interest, insurance, taxes, all of that stuff. In this case, it is showing PMI, but if you're putting a higher down payment or the ratio is better, it will strike the PMI from there. But this is the thing I want to show you at the bottom where it says other fees. You have your title, your recording fees, but it has your buyer agent compensation. So this is where you would show them that, hey, listen, that $12,500 is to compensate me for, taking you around for a year and a half and looking at 100 properties and finally connecting on one. But again, I just want to show you where that all is in there. So any questions about how we got to here so far, I know I'm going quickly, so. All right.
I do because I was updating the app because I didn't have the buyer concession thing. So I have all the costs, other fees, and then how did you get to the report? I don't remember how to get to that.
Oh, in the upper right, it's a box with an arrow pointing out of it. So you're going to hit that, and it's going to bring up this menu that says "Send Full Report." And Ryan can help you in the chat too. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep going because I want to show one other thing. So if you guys go back to this section here, so you got the two circles, right? This is another thing in our particular market that I feel is important to show you. So now, you're the agent and you showed me this house and it's listed at 500,000. We're going to put in an offer, but you're saying to me, hey, Justin, I think that it may take a little bit more to get this property. And I said, oh, okay, well, how much more? And you could show this little app. You could do this in the driveway after you went to an open house with somebody. And if you're looking at your phone, if you give it a little shake to the side, a little shake back and forth, this little secret screen is going to pop up. And this says how offer price can affect my payment. So now I have it set to show increasing amounts of $10,000 a piece. But if you click the little the little gear in the bottom and click it again, you can show increasing, decreasing, or both. But for now, again, I'm going to leave it at that. And again, if you want to change it to $25,000 increments, you could do that. So this is basically showing me that if I put my offer in at 500,000, but I have to go up to 525, it's going to increase my monthly payment by about $156. And this is important that, and you could be able to print this out or email it or text it to your buyer. So when they're reviewing, their offer later, they can discuss this at home without you. If you hit share, it creates a nice little graphic. So it not only does it show the property that they were looking at, it shows the loan information, your bring to close, but it also just gives this nice little branded graphic that will again be branded to you, and it helps show them what they would be looking at if they wanted to increase their offer price.
That's a really cool feature. How do you get to that, did you say?
So if you're holding your phone, just kind of envision just shaking it back and forth a little bit, like left and right, like rock the phone. If that doesn't work, you can just rotate it fully to the right, like you would go to like horizontal landscape mode. That would also get you to that secret screen there. The next thing I just want to show you from this is, this is on the buyer tab, but there's something, a really unique thing that Palm Agent's done here. And again, if you put the address in, it really does open up some other features for you. So if we go into the upper right again, instead of hitting full report, we hit send geo report. What this is going to do is this is going to pull information about the neighborhood. So, again, a nice little leave behind. This also works really great as if you're hosting an open house. These make like little flyers that you can leave at the front door when people come in. So this is basically saying that, again, 500,000 with 10% down. These are all your facts and figures. But if you look, it shows gas stations, supermarkets, Starbucks, gyms, all of this. It gives a rating on the schools that, whatever it can find, internet speed, walk score, sound score, all of these things that you can create in seconds, which is really nice. Again, you can change the template. If you like something a little bit more colorful, you could do this. Really just powerful stuff. The other thing that you can do is if you hit customize, you can actually change so if I don't want it to show Starbucks or supermarkets, for example, and I want it to show golf courses, I can just change that out, hit save. The graphic will update, and now when I go to share it, it's going to have something that shows the closest golf course to this property is 3.1 miles. So again, your buyers, the people that you're dealing with, how do you show your value in the best possible way? It's making it personalized and it's making it custom to them. So that's just one real quick thing I wanted to show on this buyer's screen. Does anybody have any questions at this point?
Justin, if you can, just quickly show when the changing of the prices, just do the phone shake feature, just show the settings, how you can change the increasing and decreasing and the price increments. Okay, so again, as you get to that secret screen by shaking it, in the lower left, you want to hit that gear. And if you hit that gear again, it's going to take you to change increasing, decreasing, or both. So in a different market, in different times, you may want to do that. And then you can also just change you can show the difference in the dollar amount, or you can actually show the difference in payments. So, if it goes up to 525, your payment goes from $39.26 to $4,082. Okay. And then quickly, Justin, if you can, go back to the geo report and just show how you do it and then how you customize it really quick.
Okay, so I'm sure there's questions in the chat. So you get to the geo report by going to the share icon in the upper right. You select geo report. It takes you here. To customize it, you can change the template by hitting the lower left, which allows you to pick all sorts of different home reports. If you like the template that you have in the lower right, you hit customize. And when you hit property details, this is where you can check and uncheck things. So, I've seen agents do it where the one school that's closest to the property actually has a B rating, but the one that's a little bit further has an A rating. They swap those out so it looks better on the graphic. So Again, the app, it seems overwhelming. It seems like I'm going quickly, but it's pretty intuitive once you sit around and play with it a little bit. So is that good? Because I do want to get to
Yes.
the second way to structure an offer on a $500,000 house. So this is if the buyer was going to pay the buyer's agent commission like out of their own pocket, they were going to bring that to the table at closing. Now, what I would say, let's just say, let's work another scenario where you're going to work in conjunction with your lender, and you're actually going to roll the price in, or the commission into the price of the house. So that 12,500 commission, they're actually going to finance that. So what we're going to do first is we're going to in the upper right, we're going to hit that share button again, and we're going to hit save estimate. So this defaults it to the address that we just went. So I'm just going to go to the front of the screen here and hit option 1, and I'm going to hit save estimates. Okay. So now when I need to go back and find that, I go to the upper left, I go to estimates, and option 1 is there. Okay. So, now let's change this a little bit to reflect how we're going to structure our offer differently. So we're going to actually change the price of this to $512,500. Okay. And then instead of the buyer agent compensation being paid for by the buyer, we're actually going to just zero this out. Okay. Now this is rolled into the financing. And, again, this is a way that you can do this to structure your offer. So you got to make sure that you change that to 0. Now, there are other ways to get to the same effect. And it really all depends on how you want to do it. And I think this would be a better class to do in person and with Beth on how to do like the seller concessions and stuff. But this is just a simple, easy way for you to show them that, okay, in this scenario, their monthly payment is going to go up a little bit, but their bring to close comes down significantly. So there's just, there's different ways to structure this stuff. So does everybody understand what I was doing there to show that? Ryan, do you have anything to add about doing it this way?
I'm good. I'm answering some questions in the chat. And the main thing is that I will say is we're having classes in 3 of the market centers this month on the app. So the 3 that I cover, Woodcliff Lake, Tenafly, and Rutherford. If you're not an agent in those market centers, you are able to come to those classes, and I highly recommend doing so. I know Justin it's moving fast, and that for people to keep up and everything, it's a little challenging sometimes. So I do highly recommend, go to those classes in the market center. He also does have them in Ridgewood and Fort Lee fairly frequently, but we are, we're here to help. So we're also available for one-on-one time, Zoom time, anything that we can do to help you use it. The app is so customizable. You can customize every single aspect of it. So just really keep that in mind. Okay.
Oh yeah. So in this scenario, you would basically, the seller would be offering a concession of 12,500 here. And that's how you would get to those numbers. So I'm going to just show, again, those are just 2 ways to structure the same offer. So like, one offer obviously looks a little bit better, the price point's higher, but the seller essentially nets the same. And we're going to show you that if you go to the second tab on the lower toolbar, which is the seller tab, it kind of looks like like a sign out front of a house. So same thing, we're gonna go through this again, sort of quickly, but I will try to slow down as much as possible.
Hey, Justin, one quick question. Lisa was asking about, if there's a cost for customizing and the geo report and adding your photo and stuff. And Scott answered it. I just want to make sure there's not anything else you need to add to that. He said to do that, it's $9 per year. Is that anything else you need to know about that? Does that sound right?
So we're going to go over that in a few, but yeah, that's a great point. To do all of the features that I have, you can do about 90 But if you pay the $10 or the $9.99 for the year, it gives you access to the premium version, which you can update and really really customize it to yourself. So that is correct.
Got it. Okay.
But
So
there's a free
$9 for
30
the entire year.
Yeah, and that's money that doesn't go to Carnegie Title, that goes to the app developer Palm Agent. So this is, that's, in order for them to give a free app, they have to make a little bit of money, I imagine. So
Got it. Thank you.
all right, so getting back to this, I put the address in, and this is something a little different I want to show you guys, because this is really good, when you're prospecting as well, and you're not really sure, maybe you're going into a listing appointment or something, and you're not sure what the homeowner's mortgage balance would be. So if I put this address in, 91 Sininger Place, it actually said it found a loan recorded in July of 2024. So this house just got sold. And the balance is for 195. So under that, it also says the average interest rate was 6.77 for 2024. So if you just put that average in here and hit compute, what this is going to do is this is going to give you, based off the information it found, an estimated loan balance for this homeowner, which is powerful until you get to the point where you really, ask those questions to get an accurate number. But this gives you a good sense of what you may be dealing with when talking with somebody going into a listing appointment. So in this case, we're going to, again, this is the seller sheet is probably the best way I've seen to do a seller net sheet out there. It's fast, it's easy. It can be as accurate at almost to the dollar, given, a lot of the parameters. But it just looks professional. And I know some agents who are sending seller net sheets over on an Excel document or just texting it over, hey, you're going to make about 350,000. And that's fine. But if you want to really separate yourselves and show that value, now I feel like providing a really, good looking seller net sheet and accurate is a home run. So in this case, same thing. We're going to do 500,000. But now you'll see that it gives you an option to put in the seller's broker fee as well as the buyer's broker fee. So in this scenario, let's just leave the seller's broker fee at 3%. But the buyer broker fee, let's change that to, say you've convinced your listing agent to offer out 2.5% paid for by the seller. So this would be like in a traditional sort of situation, old school real estate transaction, right? So we do this, and given that, it looks like your seller would net a 269, 281. It all works the same way as the buyer tab. So if you go into the upper right and hit share, now you can send that full report. And again, this is just a really nice way to present a closing or net sheet, as opposed to just, on an Excel that we went over would be in here. Okay. So, it operates the same way. You can customize it, change the language, but let's just play around with it a little bit, and just say that you're not offering any compensation on this. Okay. So you're just going to take that to 0. So you net a little bit more, right? And then this way again, so this is just a way for you to illustrate and save these different estimates so you could show your seller what the options are here. So again, if we went back and did those two scenarios that we did before, and we did it at 500,000 and then the 512.5, you would see that the seller would more or less net the same thing. I just, with the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all of that, but it's so easy to use, and Ryan and I can help you in the market centers. I know like Amanda, Nagam, Maxine, they're all pretty well versed in this as well, and they can help you with that. So does anybody have any questions on the seller net sheet? Okay, so I'm just going to show you a couple of key little highlights with the app, which may entice you to start using it more. On the lower toolbar, again, the third icon is called calculators. this is just a really great place that you can do come for resources depending on the situation that you may be in. So let's just say, you're a buyer's agent and you just meet somebody who says, hey, I'm renting my apartment now, but we really want to get out and we want to buy something. You can go to the calculators tab and hit monthly affordability, which is that one in the lower right corner. And you could say, oh, okay, well, what are you paying in rent right now? And I would say, oh, you know what? My rent is like $3,900. It's crazy. Okay. We compute this, and this just quickly shows you the buying power that you have with 10% down. So, to be honest with you, we could start looking at condos or single family homes in these areas that, with 10% down, you think you could save up 48,000? Yeah, I probably could. Well, what if you got a gift from mom and dad and you slide this bar over to 20% and now you're putting 111,000 down. Now look at your buying power. This goes up. And again, this is just based off of the national average interest rates. This is very preliminary. I just want to, Beth is probably over there like, whoa, take it easy. But you want to make sure that you're doing this in concert with your lender. But this is just a really good way to when you're first talking to somebody to kind of manage their expectations and get a sense for where they're at. Again, it operates the same way. You could share this with them, so you could say, okay, this creates a nice little graphic. How much can I afford with $3,900 a month? It brands it to you. The best part about this is if it's somebody that you just met, maybe online at the grocery store or something, you could say, hey, let me just send this over to you. I'll text it to you. And you hit text. What's your number? Now you've sent it to them. You've got their name, their number, and you as a potential buyer. So that's just one I really like to show that. But as you can see, there are like a ton of different ones that you could get into. Like I love this one. I was just up at Orly's office the other day going through this with her team. This is the buy now versus buy later calculator. So if you say, we're looking at houses for 500,000 with 10% down, given the this is what your monthly payment and your bring to close would look like. But if you swipe over, given what the appreciation values are in this area, and this is not just us making this up, this is from NAR, Zillow, Goldman, Fannie Mae. These people are saying that that home for 500,000 is going to increase approximately $35,000 in 2 years. So what does that look like for you, Mr. Buyer? Do you want to buy it now and get that appreciation, or do you want to buy it now and refi in 2 years later? And this is a really great graphic to just show you what the difference is of waiting. So if you're going to wait, not only is the price going to go up, it's going to be more competition with other people out there, but you're also you're leaving about half that equity on the table every 2 years you wait. So same thing, you can share this with somebody. This just makes a really nice graphic to do. So again, I keep coming back to the same theme, but it's showing your value, and it's showing your value through math, which is interesting because I know me personally, I'm not great at math. So having this, if I was a real estate agent, I'd be using this all the time because I wouldn't want to, put my foot in my mouth and say the wrong thing. But I also want to keep my credibility up with people. So that's really important. So those are just a couple in here. But as you can see, there are, almost over a dozen different ones that you can use. And then lastly, because I do want to leave a little time for some questions. If you go to the fourth icon on the right, which is the premium tab, this is going to show you all of the social media content that you can use. So I, talk with agents all the time that, they say, oh, I'm gonna make a calendar. I'm gonna post on social media regularly. It's an important part of my goal for this year. And then what happens is there's only so many between keeping current matters and other things. There's only so many resources out there. Well, this is great because every month they update it with what's going on in our industry and what may be, happening at the time. But it gives you a wide variety of ways to post stuff. So for the first one, I'm just going to show you is if you go to premium and you scroll down to where it says standard infographics, These are just anything that you could use to post to different social media platforms. You could print them out, you could send them to people. But here's a great one that I've seen a lot of our agents in our office been posting this one lately. This says 3 biggest misconceptions around buyer's agents. So these are just great information campaigns that you can run to show your value, to have something of relevance and be very timely to speak to your audience on social media. The best part about this is, if I was going to post this, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is a great graphic. Well, what do I say? I'd have to go to ChatGPT and maybe like make a caption. Well, Palm Agent figured that out for you as well. If you go in the upper right, there's a little thing that looks like a hashtag with a conversation bubble. If you click that, it actually gives you a suggested caption and hashtag, and all you would have to do is hit copy, and that puts it on your clipboard so that when you go to share this to Instagram or something, you would just, when it came to the point to write that caption in there, you would literally just paste that in there, add some hashtags or some mentions in there that you want to. But I mean, again, talk about like if you set a schedule for yourself, how easy it is to fill in that and stay on your goal. So this is just a couple of the new ones that are out there, but you can always sort it by relevance, what's most popular. If you are dealing with nothing but buyers, you want to hit stuff for buyers, it could show you that. If you want to just nothing but graphics in Spanish, it's going to give you all the graphics that they have created in Spanish. So these are just powerful tools that you guys can use. If you go back to that premium section, it's the next section down is basically the same thing, but it's more of a swipeable or like a carousel style. So when you would post this, the idea is that you're trying to get people to stay engaged longer and click along. So there's different ones that you can, 5 reasons to use a buyer's agent. Like I love this one. Like you want, the idea is that you post this to your Instagram stories. You want them to, because it's taking a little while to load, but you want them to keep clicking forward and showing, and reading your stuff. Because the more time they spend on your page, the better it is for you and for the algorithms that work. Quickly going through, a few filters and lenses are something that you can use. These, I've seen a lot of agents using these. These are like if you have a home that you just listed and you just got the paperwork signed and you want to quickly post it, you can literally take this lens, go to your library, take the picture and put it up there. And then now you have an easy graphic that's in there. And just how easy is that to post that really fast. So that's really cool. And then personalized videos, these are basically the same thing. And it's just, trying to keep people's engagement a little bit longer. But the last thing I want to show you as we run out of time here is the shareable. As these can be used as lead generation stuff. So for example, if you want to get with Nagam or somebody in your market center and do a campaign through command and send this out to your database, you could do how much equity do you have? So you could target your database of people that you've already sold homes to. They would basically get this graphic. It would be sent to them. They would click on it. And what they would be asked to do would be to kind of fill out some information, which I think is super important because you're getting them to offer up stuff that you can then use when you go to call them. So, all right, well, I bought my house and, I paid $355 for it, 10%. I still owe $250 on it. Okay. I don't really know, but Zillow says my house is worth this. Okay. Now it's going to say, do you want a more accurate estimate? Okay, yeah, I kind of do. So I'm going to put the address in there. Okay. And then I'm going to enter my email address. Okay. And so now I'm doing this as your customer, right? So once I do that, now what happens is they now see that, oh, okay, listen, I have about $350,000 in equity in my house. And this is sort of the breakdown. It does say all numbers are estimates, but really the next thing is a prompt to get them to call you. right? You want them to contact you. If they keep scrolling, it's going to give them some more information, which I really think is good. What is equity? How do they figure out the down payment, your principal, and then ultimately your appreciation? But as the real estate agent, what you're going to see is, hold on a second. So let me see if this is updated. You're going to get an email that says Palm Agent. You're going to say, congrats. Somebody you got a lead from one of our shareable calculators, and it's going to say the home address and the email address, which now you see what they put in as their inputs, so that when you call them, it creates an equity report for you. You can then call them or email them to set up a conversation to talk about what they did and whether they're whether they're right or wrong as far as their own estimation. So, these things are just really great. They also work if have a Facebook page, whether it's business or personal. This is something that I would recommend pinning to the top of your Facebook page, like right now. And you can encourage your friends to share that information, share their post, because anybody who clicks on it will be ultimately directed back to you. So it's just, there's a bunch of different ones. How much do I need to make in order to move? Should I refinance now? All of these things. And even just like, I like this one, which is just a seller net sheet. You could just, post like this: less homes for sale equal more money for you. It's catchy enough it's a grabby enough of a headline where if somebody clicks on it, they're, if they see it, they're most likely going to click on it. So that's really Palm Agent in 30 minutes or less. I know it's a lot, but does anybody have any questions?
Justin, there's one here from Jane Bradley. I don't know the answer to it. It says, can this link be added to Linktree on Instagram? So I think if you're doing the calculators and those infographics, we can't, right? It's just for social media.
So the way that Nagam actually had it figured out was that she took the link and copied it into Command to send it out. So I think Linktree, you should be able to do that. But Jane, that's a great question. That's something that we'd have to just try for you. But that's a great creative solution. That's awesome.
I have a question.
Sure.
I was just trying to post on Instagram the 5 reasons to use a buyer's agent, and I did the hashtag, I did the chat GPT and all of that, and then I clicked post, and then it wanted to access my photos.
Yeah, you're going to want to say yes to that.
Okay, and then what does it do after that? I didn't go forward.
Yeah, so it's basically it's gonna pull in the photo from Palm Agent to post to your thing. So yeah, that's definitely what you want to do. And Deborah, I can call you after the.
Okay. All righty.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah. Anybody else? I mean, I wasn't able to monitor the chat, so I don't know what was going on in there. But I'm going to stop broadcasting for now.
This is super helpful. So one question I have: if somebody has questions and they're not able to make the next in-person session, is there another way to learn this? Should they just call you up directly, or what's the best way to
So
learn?
there's a couple of things that I would recommend right off the bat. One is to just really like sit on your couch and play with the app, because again, I think it is pretty intuitive. Two, in every calculator and every screen, there is the YouTube video that you can click in and watch. So I think I remember I showed you, it was in the upper left. It was a little triangle with a circle around it. That will give you a YouTube tutorial on any of the calculators that are in there. The third thing you could do is on Instagram, I would consider, make sure you guys follow Palm Agent. That's the app developers thing, because they're posting new content all the time and really great creative ways to use the app in, not just as traditional sense. For example, if you follow them, there's this agent out of Austin, Texas, or suburb of Austin, who uses it all the time, and she's coming up with like really creative ways to use the app to get inbound traffic. So that equity review calculator, she's posting on her Instagram like, hey, people in the Austin area may be sitting on over $100,000 worth of equity. Want to know how much your house, want to know how much equity you have? Send me your address and I'll get you. And she does it in like 10 minutes. or, you know, in 2 minutes, and she's creating that engagement. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. And Palm Agent's really good about sharing the ways that other agents are doing it creatively. And then last, just call Ryan or I if we're your rep. You can, you know, we'll set up a one-on-one with you or your team. You could always ask your Market Center tech trainers to ask us to host another class. We'd be happy to do that as well.
Sounds great. There's a question in the chat. I think I know the answer, but I'll let you guys answer. Is the interest rate updated as the interest rate changes? I assume that's yes, right?
Yeah. So as I said, it basically takes a national average. So it's not, you know, hyper local and specific to New Jersey here. So that's why it's really important that you, when you're doing these estimates, before you maybe send it over to somebody, that you ask your lender. Like Beth could give you a good range. She could, you know, hey Beth, I'm going to send this out. Is 6.3 okay to send? She said, yeah, that's fine. And just give her some highlights of what you're trying to do. Because again, with this, the most important thing, it's meant to make you look professional and look like the knowledge broker in your area. But you don't want to give out misinformation as well. Like, you got to be really careful. So when you're talking to people, depending on the stage that you're at, you know, in the early days, you just tell them these are really rough estimate. You know, these are estimates to get you in the ballpark, to manage your expectations. And as you're starting to do specific buyer estimates or seller net sheets, as you get closer to closing or putting in an offer, you have to tell them, like, listen, there's a few different factors that can affect these outcomes. And then, you know, your lender is really a large part of that. So once we get with them and we balance with the title company, you'll have exact figures. But these are just to give you, give you an idea. Because, like, I know there's certain buyers out there who, like, if you tell them that their mortgage payment's going to be $4,712, and if it comes in at $4,713, they lose their marbles. So, you know, you have to know your clients as well. But, you know, again, just try to protect yourself by saying, hey, these are estimates. To get better numbers as we go forward, we will loop in the lender and do that.
Got it. Makes sense. Any other questions for Justin before we wrap it up today? Or Ryan?
Al, if I could just add, so it's important to know when you download the app, right? You can see that you have one of us assigned to you as a rep. And when Justin says to sit on your own and work on it and go through, see what you can. If you have questions, let us know. If you have questions and while you're actively working on something, give us a call because we are both admins for the app. So we're actually able to look at what you're currently working on and doing to see how we can help. If something's coming up, it doesn't seem right, we're able to look at that exact estimate. We don't have to do it on the phone with you, and then we have to compare and stuff like that. So us as the rep, that is why we're there. But it's also important to kind of do it on your own a little bit, and use us as a resource when those questions do come up. Because again, we can see exactly what you're doing, and it's easier for us to help you when we can see it.
That makes sense. Or anyone else? Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up. This was super helpful. Thank you so much, Justin and Ryan. I'm amazed at how easy it is to use and how it formats so professionally. This is really a great app. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks.